Hi there, I'm Carla Klopp. Uh, Today I'm going to show you how I like to press my seams open. If you're familiar with shortcut sheets, you know that my sheets can be very, very long. And pressing open is difficult for some people, so I'll just show you how I go about doing it. Before we start though, I want to talk a little bit about the iron that I use. There was an earlier version of this that was recalled for safety reasons. This is a newer version. You notice the base, if you have the old one, the base is larger. There's a lot more robust wiring here. So I was able to get this through Amazon. It's called an Ivation. It's heat. It does do steam, but I don't use the steam function myself. It takes about 1/3 of the power compared to a regular iron, which is good, but it does not turn itself off, which is bad. So you have to remember to do that part. So otherwise you might as well use lots and lots of power. The other tool I like to use is this. It's called my bump bar. This is something I've come up with. It's about 2 inches wide, 1/2 inch thick, and it allows you to raise up the seam when you go to press seams, either open or closed, but definitely open. And sometimes your rows are quite narrow. If you don't use this, what can happen is that you mess up the other seams while you're pressing a new one. So this is very, very convenient. And you can get that at kitsbycarla.com. Well, let's go ahead with the video and I'll show you how I do it. What I'm pressing is a whole sheet of half square triangles. There are 73 strips sewn together without doing any pressing so far. I'm going to cut this apart diagonally to make my final size units for half square triangles, and I need close to 300 of them for this particular pattern. Now there are people who like to set their seams, and you do that by pressing on a closed seam. What this does is it pushes the fabric in and makes it easier to open up the seam, or making sure it's nice and flat, and then you can see that it opens easily. But when I'm doing so many seams and my sheet gets quite awkward, I don't actually do the seam setting, and I don't think it makes a huge difference. I want to make sure my sheet is taut, and then I just run my finger right to the beginning and run it just in front of the point of my iron. And you can see that these strips are quite thin. They're only at this point 1 3/4 inches wide, but because the iron is so small, I am not going to interfere with what I've already pressed. So what I do is I do a few of these seams, and again, my finger right in front. Pay attention because it is very hot, but it works very quickly, and I don't have to go to any special lengths or bring any other tools with me. So once I've done 5 or 6 of them, I might turn it over and then just check. Because with my methods, the shortcut sheet methods, the seams have to be very flat and very straight. If they're not totally flat, they're going to make it more difficult to cut the units apart and get the correct final size. So there, I've done 6 seams. I'm just going to flip it over, check it from the back, give it another press. Sometimes you can't see it until you're on the front where there's a little pucker. So again, I just run my toe of my iron nice and smooth right over those seams. Make sure they're totally open. So to do 73 strips, this could take an awful long time if I wasn't using this method and this handy little tool. So then I'll just flip it over and do some more seams. I'll come back and show you when it's all done. So my whole sheet has been ironed. So there are 73 strips, that makes 72 seams, and it's taken me less than 10 minutes. So you can see by using this method, it's absolutely a huge time saver. And the mini iron is the reason that I'm able to do it that way. So I'm just going to make sure that all my seams are flat. And my next step to make these half square triangles is to start cutting them on the diagonal to make my rows that are going to be 2.5 inches wide, and then cut my units apart. So this is a shortcut sheet method. You can go to kitsbycarla.com to find more information on shortcut sheet methods. So you noticed in this video I did not use the bump bar, and that's because at the time that didn't exist. Have a great day and happy quilting.